Hello and welcome to lesson 4.4, Does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers? This lesson is intended for those of you who are not into learning or understanding the partial quotients algorithm. So we're going to do the same problems but just using a different method. Our swabat for this lesson is to divide multi-digit numbers using efficient methods. The materials you will need include your math journal, your pencil, a whiteboard, and a marker. Now you'll notice I've got a big blue rectangle on the screen as a way to help remind you what steps go when for the Does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers method. So take a look at the problem. First of all, number one, we need to make a magnitude estimate. Now remember, a magnitude estimate is making an estimation of where the number is going to be. So the quotient will be, is it going to be in the ones, the tens, the hundreds, or the thousands? So if I'm looking at how I estimated, knowing 6 times what number is going to get me close to 1,010. So if I took 6 times, let's say 100, 6 times 100 is going to get me 600. And I think that's as high as I'm going to be able to go, because if I did 6 times 1,000, my answer is going to be in the thousands. So my magnitude estimate is going to be 6 times 100 equals 600. So I know my answer is going to be in the hundreds. Now let's actually go and solve the problem. We're going to ignore the line down here because that's what is used for the partial quotients algorithm. So does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers? First thing I have to do is I take a look at the 6 and see, does it go into the 1? No, 6 does not go into 1. So I'm going to use the next place value, which the number would then be 10. So does 6 go into 10? Yes, it does. 6 goes into 10 one time. So that was me dividing. Now I multiply. 1 times 6 is 6. Take it, subtract it out. 10 minus 6 is 4, and I bring down and I get the, oh, I'm sorry. Before I bring down, I just subtracted. Now I need to compare. Is 4 less than 6? Because it should be. And yes, it is. So now I know I've done it right, and I can bring down the 1. Now let's test it. 6 goes into 41 how many times? Well, I know 6 times 7 is 42, so it must be 6 times that it goes in there. So 6 times 6 is 36. I need to subtract next. 41 minus 36, and I am left with 5. Again, let's compare it. Is 5 less than 6? Yes, it is. I know I'm on the right track. Now bring down the 0, and I have 50. So 6 goes into 50 how many times? Well, I know that 6 times 8 is 48, so I'm going to put 48 underneath 50, and if I subtract that out, I know that I'm left over with 2. So my answer is 168, remainder 2. Now please turn to your math journal, page 106. We're going to complete pages 106 and 107. I'm going to use the Does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers method as an attempt to help explain this to you. So we're going to ignore the directions on this page since this method is not your preferred method. So 64 divided by 8. Oh goodness. If I knew my facts, I would know that I don't need to actually solve this out. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it's 8. 64 divided by 8 is 8. Now I want to remind you, as we are solving these problems, at any time if you feel like I'm moving too fast for you to work it out, please pause it, because I want you to solve the problem yourself. I don't want you to just copy. Okay, so 749 divided by 7. This one I think I'm going to need to write out. So 749 divided by 7. Let's see here. Well, I know that 7 goes, if I'm doing the Does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers method, I know that 7 goes into 7 one time. I just divided. Now I need to multiply. 1 times 7 is 7. So I'm going to subtract now. 7 minus 7 is 0. Bring down the 4. Okay. 7 goes into 4. Hold on here. Cannot go into 4. I got to put a 0 up here to say, oh, it's not going to work. Now, because I know it's not going to work, I can just bring down a 9. Ah, this is easy now. Ooh, I know that 7 goes into 49 7 times, because 7 times 7 is 49. So I take 49 minus 49, and I'm left with 0. So it looks like my answer for number 2 is 107. Let's move on to question 3. All right, so 36 goes into 2,628. This is one of those problems that I'm going to need to write my multiplication off to the side because I don't know my 36s. So let's see here. I don't know. I know 36, first of all, it can't go into 2 and it cannot go into 26. So I'm going to have to figure out how many times it goes into 262. I know that 36 times 10 is too high, so I'm just going to start with an easy number and hope that I'm getting close here. So 36 times 5. So 6 times 5 is 30, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 8. So I'm left with 180. I think I could probably get a little higher. I don't know, let's try 36 times 7 maybe? 6 times 7 I know is 40. Oops, is 42. Put the 2 down, carry the 4. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 4 is 25. Ooh, close, close, close. So now I got to put the 7 right above the 2. Make sure to line it up, because otherwise you'll get yourself messed up later. And then put the 252 underneath and subtract it out. 0, 1. Now let's compare here. I'm left with 10. That number should be less than 36. It is, so I know I have gotten the right answer. Now I bring down the 8. So 36 goes into 108 how many times? Well, I know it needs to be less than 5 because I have my work off to the side over here. So I don't know. I'm going to try 3. 36 times 3, because I know it's not 4. I feel like it has to be more or less than that. So 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Woohoo, I got it. So 36 goes into 108 3 times. 7 times 3 is 36. I'm left with 108. Subtract it out, and I have 0 remaining. So my answer to number 3 is 73. For question 4, I'm not going to work this one out talking to you. I'm going to ask that you pause it and double check with my answer when you're done. Okay, you can see I have my work at the bottom there. Ooh, and I just drew a big line over it. That was brilliant. My answer, not that you can see it, is 910. My hope is that some of you did not get 91. You had 0 remaining, but if you got 91, what you forgot to do is bring down the 0, and of course 9 goes into 0 0 times. That's why it's really important with the Does McDonald's Serve Cheeseburgers method that you line up your work. And I'm not doing a very good job of showing it with the smartboard because it's too hard to do it with my mouse. So really try to line it up. Let's move on to question 5. Raul has 237 string bean seeds. He plants them in rows with 8 seeds in each row. How many complete rows can he plant? All right, so I need to do an estimate. I know my problem I'm going to be dividing is 237 divided by 8. And for my estimation, I think I'm going to do a multiplication problem. I know that 8 times 30 is 240, and that gets me pretty gall darn close to 237. So I know my answer is going to be around 30. So in this case too, I want you to pause it and double check your answer with me. Okay, so if you lined up your problem just like I did, you would have gotten your answer as 29 with a remainder of 5. Now I got to go back to the question because that doesn't make sense. 29 remainder 5 rows. So the question asks me how many complete rows can he plant? Well, he actually can only he can only plant 29 complete rows, and there's just 5 seeds left over. I'm going to ignore the rest of the seeds because it tells me how many complete rows can he plant. Now with this last page, I'm actually only going to complete the odd questions because I promised you guys that we would be this lessons would be under 15 minutes, and I'm trying to do that. So I'm first going to start out by writing out my problem, which I think I'm going to go ahead and pause it. No, I'll solve this one with you, and then the next one I'll have you kind of do independently. So if I have 2,815 divided by 43, show my work off to the side because I really have no idea. Well, first of all, I know 43 cannot go into 2, and I know 43 can't go into 28. So I have to figure out how many times 43 goes into 281. So I'm going to just make a guess. 43 times, I don't know, 50, because 50 is a pretty easy number. Let's see what I get there. 3 times, well, of course it's going to end in a 0, so 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1 is 5 times 4 is 20 plus 1. So 2,150. I bet I can do more. I'm going to try 43 times 60. So 0, 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1, so that's 24 and 25. That is as close as I'm going to get. So 43, oh crap. Sorry, I just realized that I'm solving this the other method that I just did the other lesson. Okay. Hold on. I need to do some erasing. I'm sorry, I'm just not redoing this video. I've already taped it for 20 minutes, so sorry about that mistake. Let's try this for real. Let's try 43 times 6. If I wouldn't have erased my work, I'd have this up here. I know that 43 goes into 281 6 times, so I'm going to put the 6 directly above the 1 so I don't get myself mixed up. And 43 times 6 is 258. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract that out. Oh, wow, that was beautiful. This has just been an awesome video. I think it's time for bed. So 11 times, or minus 8 is 3. 7 minus 5 is 2, and of course 2 minus 2 is 0. I'm double checking 23 is less than 43, and that's good because that's the check part of our does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers? Now all I need to do is bring down. So 235. Well, I know 43 has to go into that 235 probably 5 times, because I know 43 times 6 is 258. So, oh, sorry. So 43 times 5 is 215. So I've got the 5 up top, put the 215 below, subtract it out, and I am left with 20. And 20 is less than 43, so I know that needs to be my answer. So my answer is 65 with a remainder of 20. Last problem we're going to solve together. Regina put 1,610 math books into boxes. Each box held 24 books. How many boxes did she use? So for this problem, I'm also going to do my estimation as a multiplication problem. You don't have to do it like that. I got to see how many times 24 goes into, close to 1,610. So I'm going to make a guess with 70. And I know that 24 times 70 is 1,680. So that's going to get me pretty darn close. So I know my answer is probably going to be about 70. Well, actually, it's going to be a bit less than 70. So for this problem, I actually want you to solve it by yourself and then check in with me. Okay, so you can see I showed my work off to the side there. I found that 1,610 divided by 24 gives me 67 with a remainder of 2. Now I got to figure out what to do with the remainder. If I look at the question, it says how many boxes did she use? Well, she used 67 but had 2 left over, and I know if she's putting these math into boxes, she's not just going to leave 2 out. So she's probably going to need, I'm going to need to round up for my remainder. So she's probably going to need 68 boxes instead of 67, because if she wants all math books into boxes, she's going to need to have an extra box for those extra 2. All right, finally, this is what your study link looks like. I know the directions tell you to use the partial quotients algorithm. In this case, you do not have to, but please show your work on the back of the paper. I am unable to ascertain if you're understanding it if I can't see your work on the back. And besides that, it's easier to go back and kind of check if you do get it wrong, to check where you went wrong in the division problems. So make sure to solve all 5 division problems on the front. Take your time because I expect perfection. And then of course practice questions 6 and 7 at the bottom. You're answering the addition or subtraction problem and doing the reverse of it to check to see if your answer is right. Thank you.